My name is Lesley Holmes. I've spent about 23 years growing beauty, wellness, CPG, and lifestyle brands. And today I'm acting as a fractional chief brand officer, chief marketing officer, and also a transformational coach for founders and leaders, really working at the intersection of soul and strategy and helping brands grow with alignment, with resonance, impact, and profitability. And today I'm with my really good friend, Jennifer. Jen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Ritter, and I help build beauty brands from the product development angle. So we help do go-to-market strategy and turnaround brands, all doing with product development, product marketing, packaging, and regulatory management, as well as some brand story. So a funny way that Lesley and I reconnected was that we sat next to each other at a networking event, and we were both like, oh my God, we like each other. And then we emailed each other via LinkedIn, and we're like, we actually talked 10 years ago. And reconnected now 10 years now. We're doing this talk with you guys. And today we're here to talk about resonance versus reach when it comes to brands.
Well, that lines up well because we definitely resonated at that event, and I'm glad that this brought us back together. Now we just get to talk beauty all day long. But today we wanted to talk to you about resonance and why it's so important when building your brand and attracting the right customers and then building longevity. And you know, being the spiritual person that I am, there's obviously the spiritual law of resonance, but it's actually not just about that. It's physics. And it's really about aligning with a frequency that aligns with you so that the people that are attracted to you understand your messaging. So that works with just atoms and frequencies and vibrations, but it works with brands. And it's all about being fully aligned with who you are so that you're not just casting this wide net and trying to capture whoever comes your way. You're actually aligning with your brand messaging so that people find you. And to ground this, imagine you're in a music shop and on one of the guitars, you strike the D chord and the D chord starts resonating. Well, every other D chord in that shop starts resonating and vibrating as well because they're all on the same frequency. And that is the same way that you should build your brands, build your communities, and build your product structure, that you're building this resonance so people find you, aligned with you, and stick with you.
Yeah. So what we believe in is that you should be everything to someone, not everything to everyone. True brand and product connection is about relating deeply to the product story and the products that go with it. You want your consumer to say that your product has changed your life. To Lesley's point, brands should have an always on approach at their core, that they're always resonating with that product that people associate to changing their life. For example, the Laneige lip mask is something that both Lesley and I use. And I'm like, I just always use that now and associate it with nighttime. I associate their brand with nighttime, and I associate that feeling with nighttime. So they have an always on approach, the lip mask, with new flavors, new kitting, new scents, etc. Benefit Cosmetics is an excellent example of this too. They have an always on brow approach, but they're always focused on promoting their brow area with a new product or a new kind of launch every year. Stila Cosmetics is an always on eyeliner. Like you think of Stila, you think of that liquid liner, you think of their smudge and set liners and how they're always focusing on that. So the being everything to someone and that resonance with that one person is way more impactful on growing sales and depth of the product cycle and brand love cycle than trying to reach everyone and being nothing to most of the people that you're with.
100%. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but personally, I love those lip balms. I have them by my bed, and I totally buy into the brand story of the nighttime, the nutritive. I'm not expecting them to change my skin or do anti-aging, but I know exactly what I'm getting from them. And the same thing with Benefit and brows. And I think the way that they've been successful doing this is they know who they are. They're not just launching products willy-nilly. You know, it all aligns back into their brand strategy, both their core, their foundation, their mission, vision, values, but also how they grow and what their vision is for the brand long-term. I think it's so important to think through this baseline. You know, we've seen a lot of people, they kind of jump into their product story without even building the baseline. And one brand that's had a really cool turnaround lately that we've talked a lot about internally and among the board is New Balance. And what's interesting about it is, you know, they were in a steady rate of decline for years. They weren't cool. They but they changed it, and they did it a few ways. One, they brought in new leadership, and that leadership was really dedicated to brand marketing and alignment and community and playing the long game, not just looking for a quick win or launching a new product. They actually brought back some products they had discontinued, and they started to really lead into dad shoes, which was cool. Like the whole like dad, grandpa, all that stuff was making a comeback, and they were playing it up for Gen Z. They also had some very specific relationships with influencers and athletes that really brought them to the forefront. They leaned in their community. But what I think is so interesting is they still truly were aligned with their brand values of comfort and support. They never got away from that. They just learned to tell that story in a new way to new people. And it landed because it was resonant to what their brand foundation was. So driving this home, like, you have to know who you are. Your customers shouldn't be telling you who you are. They should be clear in every element of your brand strategy, from product to Amazon, to your website, to your socials, about who you are. And that, shines through who you stand for and what do those products come out of that. And Jen, you had some good points I want you to talk about.
So to what Lesley is talking about, where you have the clarity of the vision of how you want to move forward, one of the important pieces of that is to launch and leverage, not launch and lead. So what is your goal? What is the legacy that you want to do? What are your longevity goals? And how is that relating to your business? So when you launch a product, like we were talking about this, like a candle company, like if you want to just launch one candle with 1 cent, and like that is your entire goal, and your focus is to just be on that candle, then go for it. But if you're all about launching a brand that you want to expand and have like 3, 5, 10-year growth, or create an exit, or like, to your point, like a legacy brand, you need to leverage what you launch. So investing and doubling down into directing your messaging with clarity towards that consumer that relates to you. So that person that you become everything to, you want to leverage the marketing towards them. You want to show them how to use the products in more ways, how to renew it, and to try to grow your depth of basket in a time when there is so much noise. We find that consumers are looking more for, to Leslie's point, clarity, and are doubling down on the brands that they trust and growing their baskets deeper with them, and instead of trying a ton of new brands. So launching and leverage against your brand stories is a really important thing.
Yeah, and I think that there's the opposite side of resonance, which is dissonance. And that's when people see products or brand stories or even choices to make, on an ad campaign or an influencer that just don't align with the brand, and it's off-putting. Just like, you get bad vibes from someone, you can get bad vibes from a brand. And you and I were discussing, some brands that we have felt like, we won't name them, have made some mistakes where they were really known for these creative, fun products, like a freckle or a colored mascara for your eyebrows. And then suddenly they're leaning into skincare. And you're like, wait, what? It doesn't make sense, And I think, were there any other examples you wanted to call out there?
Yeah, there's a couple of brands that have done it really well. So there's two. I think there's one towards what you're saying is, like, if we look at Kim Kardashian's portfolio of brands, and we look at like why her skincare or the color cosmetics aren't hitting. Once they were launching and leaving, they're not launching and leveraging. Plus, she does a lot of promotion to the people that help her with her skin and her makeup, not about her authenticity towards it, right? So, but with Skims, it is her authenticity towards shapewear and how she's created it. Plus, they have an always-on approach to like their everyday bras or their everyday underwear, where you constantly see it promoted, and they're doubling down into it all the time. Another interesting brand that had a one-hit wonder that they've now 4 or 5 years later have developed further is Sachu, is the Korean company that is about the lip stain with the peel off on your lips. So that was one product that were making about $20 million off this one product and couldn't get anywhere with it. And they probably hired fractional workers like us to come in. And what they really saw with their new partnership with Ulta is that what people want is, there's a fun factor to the lip product, but it's really about their consumers buying into long wear from them. So they have a performance piece that works, which is the long wear. They have some cute and unique ways of applying, which is the joy that you bring to the consumer. And then the repeat purchase part is that they're giving you products that layer on top of each other and work together within the genre that their specific consumer buys to grow the brand loyalty to them there. So we could see where, like with Kim's brand, she was a launch and leave, but then with Skims, it's a launch and leverage, and they really grow a community around that and a brand messaging and identity. And with the Satsu brand, they have this one product that they probably thought they were a one hit forever, and then taking a few years later, to your point that you made earlier around resonance and seeing that later on, it's never too late once you have something that you know that could work.
Yeah, I love the Skims example because, while they started with really form-fitting shapewear, they've expanded. So there's the moment when you just need a light layer, a bigger layer, but it all resonates along that same line. Another brand I thought of is Dibs, where they've just done a great job of, playful makeup that's on the go. You use your fingers, you blend, and you just get to experiment. And they keep expanding on that assortment, and they're thriving in Ulta and doing, and they have really strategic partnerships and relationships. And I think this leads back to brand marketing, which you and I were laughing about. We're like, brand marketing's making a comeback. But that's our DNA. And I'm so happy to see that. But, with rising CACs and marketing costs just going through the roof, and it's a really crowded marketplace. Like, what are the ways you can pull through and shine through? And creative storytelling and getting so aligned on who you are is just fundamental. You don't want to confuse your customers. You want them to grab on and give them a reason to believe and be delighted. And the products have to work. Gone are the days where you just like drop this thing, throw someone's name on it. Consumers are savvy. They want to know the ingredients, from 14-year-olds to 60-year-olds. They're looking it up, and they want products that work again, and they want brands they can believe in. And that's all about creating alignment and resonance across everything that you do.
Yeah, and in the world that we're in right now, where there's so much noise, we're seeing that people are going back to even landlines in their house because we're finding authentic ways to connect. So the importance is to authentically connect with clarity to your one consumer there's many of that one style of consumer, but that direct messaging where you can have an authentic connection with them that is based on product performance and joy and keeping them wanting more. Remember, even though you love a brand, the sales get you from the first sale that you get is from products, and then the last sale that you'll get with products. So an authentic brand message with products that work, bring joy, will keep your consumers coming back more than trying to reach and be everything to everyone, be everything to that one person.
Yeah. Give them a reason to believe and a reason to buy and a reason to become a loyal fan. Like, LTV means more than anything these days. So build that with brand resonance. And we're so excited that you watched. Please drop any comments, shares, questions, and you can connect with both of us on LinkedIn or We Are the Board. So thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. You too. Bye.